I'm recording right now. Shit.
I swear there's something in the wind outside.
Alright guys, welcome back to the Calibar Club. My name's Akemini and today I'm here with Mason Burdett. Yep, that Mason. Mason of the Burd Files.
Right.
Huh?
You got the name right.
Yeah, I kind of messed it up earlier, my bad. Thought it was Burdell. For like a good 2 weeks I thought it was Burdell. Alright. So, coronavirus, right? Real pain in the neck. Only reason why I'm doing this Discord call in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be at your crib right now.
Oh, you're kind of cutting out right now.
I would be at your crib right now if this whole thing, wasn't happening. But
That would have been ideal.
unfortunately it is. And but yeah, I was expecting to come home, and obviously I go to boarding school. I was expecting to come home, chill with the homies all summer, you know what I'm saying? Go
Yeah.
to like just be at everybody's house, be social animal that I am, you know what I'm saying? But
Just hang out
it
with
just didn't
everybody, bro.
happen. For real. Like just see all the homies, chill, hang out, go to like these hockey camps, showcases, but everything got canceled, you know what I'm saying? And we're just kind of in this position where, I mean, my family, they're taking it very seriously. I haven't really been able to go out very much, so it's been much less than ideal the summer that I could have hoped for. But obviously it has affected so many more people worse than it's affected me. So it's an uncontrollable situation that you could just kind of have to make the best out of.
Yeah, I think everybody should try to make the best of it right now. Because, if you make one decision to just go out one day, like, oh yeah, hang out with the friends one time, nothing's going to happen. It might just be the last day, like, that might be the day you get coronavirus, you know what I mean? It's pretty hard. All right, let's talk about how we actually know each other, Because I think the first time, I remember it the first time, like, I met you was at Shakti's house, like, for real. Like, when we played basketball at his house. Yeah.
That was the first time we like met, like we got to know each other. But I think the first time I actually really met you is, Jonathan, or Jonathan Joseph,
Oh, yeah, I know,
little
yeah.
little short dude.
Like the little
Yeah, so
dude.
he rode my bus. He rode my bus when I went to Elkins, and he would like interact with you in the mornings and stuff like that. And I think that's where I first met you. But I think I never really like got to know you real well until went to Shakti's house, and you brought your skateboard, and you know what I'm
Oh,
saying. And
yeah.
like we
I
kind of
shredded a
got,
little bit. Shredded a little bit.
yeah, a couple of failed kick flips,
Yeah, a
maybe one
couple
or
of
two half
those.
ollies.
Yeah. Dude, I
But
don't
yeah,
know
that's where
though.
I really got to know you.
Are you sure? Like it was. So when we first met was like on his bus, right? Because I don't really remember meeting you except Rashab's house. That was like the first time I ever like got to hang out with you, and then it was Shakti's, I think, or is it the other way around? I don't remember.
Shakti's first, and then Rashab's. Yeah,
Dude, yeah, Shakti's house.
yeah.
That was it. And I always remember that day because like I don't remember his name. The Asian kid. We were like we were playing. What's it called? What's it called? Like you shoot and then someone behind you shoots after you. What's that called?
Knockout.
Oh yeah, we were playing knockout.
Knockout.
Yeah, and then the ball, like my ball went so far away, right? And I was aiming for his ball, but I threw it and I just hit him right in the face, bro. To this
That's Tyler.
to this day, I feel so bad about that, bro.
Yo, that's my homie, but we kind of fell off. I haven't talked to him in a
Yeah,
minute. But yeah, that
his
was
name is
so
what?
funny.
What was his name again?
Tyler.
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 Yo, Tyler, if you're
Yeah.
seeing this, bro, I'm so sorry, bro. I need to control myself next time, bro. I'm so sorry. But
I'll
yeah,
get him
dude.
right in the cheek, man.
I was honestly just so embarrassed for myself, and I was so sad for him too, cause I chucked that thing, bro. It wasn't like a little, it was like a real hard throw, bro. Dude, I feel sorry, bro. My bad. So I know you said earlier you go to boarding school, right? You go to boarding school?
Yeah, I do. I go to a school in Colorado called Fountain Valley School, and
Oh,
prior to that I went to Elkins, and and so basically, it was a family decision. I play ice hockey as well, and I'm looking to take hockey. Obviously, I'm not going to go play professional, but I'm looking to pursue hockey in the future. Just see how far I can get at a high level. And so, I didn't really have those options here at home. So we made the conscious decision to apply to a couple of boarding prep schools across the country. I found that Fountain Valley in Colorado Springs was the best fit for me. And yeah, I did my sophomore year at a boarding school. So
Dude, that's pretty
it
sick.
was, it
Boarding
was a,
schools are pretty sick. Yeah. So what was it like for
yeah, it was
you?
a, you know, it's a really small school, 250 kids. And
Mm.
so I go from Elkins, which is like 3,000 roughly kids, to 30, 40 kids in a class, to my new school, 250 kids, um, with 9 to 12 kids per class, sometimes even less.
Dude.
And so I think getting started, it was definitely there was a learning curve to it, right? Like I didn't just settle in right away. It took probably 1 or 2 months before I was kind of in it. And also that aspect of being away from your parents, right? Like I've
Yeah.
lived at home and been with my parents, seen them every day for basically my entire life up until this point, where I only see them every 2 or 3 months when I come home. Um, and also living with somebody, like sleeping with somebody across the room from me every day for 8 months. That's also a learning curve as well, because you have to get used to all of their kinks, and living with somebody else, not just sleeping, right? Like
Yeah, you're
you
doing
I
everything
had
with
I
them
had the
basically.
privilege of having two yeah I had the privilege of having two pretty tidy roommates and two cool roommates, but I know there's kids who are not like that. And but yeah, it definitely took some getting used to, but overall it's just been a really great experience.
So basically, boarding school is basically like junior college basically, right? I said basically three times, my bad. But it's like,
No, it definitely kind of feels like that. You're living in dorms. I mean, I think it's definitely a good preparation for college, but there's definitely correlation there between junior college and boarding school for sure.
yeah. I mean, I never had a personal experience with boarding school, but my brother did. So back in Nigeria, it was like a really common thing. You hit sixth grade, boom, you're going to boarding school, right? It was that's just what everybody did, right? I was 1 year away from doing that till I moved here, so that was 2015, just 1 year away. I would have been in boarding school, and honestly, I was terrified for that, bro. I understand like going to boarding school was like you leave your parents behind, you leave everything behind, you have your own life, you have everything to do by yourself. No one tells you to do your work, right? You go eat for yourself. You have to make your own friends basically. And you have to sleep with but the thing in Nigeria, you had to sleep with a bunch of people in one room. It wasn't like just a single dorm. Like you said your school was what, 200 people, and then how many people in each class? It was like your school's like a small school, right?
Like 9, 10 kids.
Yeah, your school was
Yeah.
really small. Like boarding schools there were a really common thing. So a bunch of people there, like 1,000 basically, over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 probably. Yeah. So it was about 8 people in each dorm, and I visit my brother 3 times a year when he's in boarding school. So we go as a family, visit the boarding school. We talk to the teachers about his work and stuff. But I just sat there. I didn't say anything. So I see my brother 3 times a year at that point till summer break. So yeah. It didn't look that bad though. I liked it. It was pretty cool, but I was a little scared.
So like for our dorms, basically, there's 8 rooms. There's an upstairs, a downstairs, 4 rooms downstairs, 4 rooms upstairs. Each room has 2 to 3 kids. So I'm living with like 18 to 20 kids, but I'm only like in a room with 1 or 2 other people. So, but yeah, it's definitely like scary, and I can see why you would be a little bit daunted by that. But like you said you moved here in 2015.
Mm.
So you were born and basically raised in Nigeria, right? Like what
My
prompted
entire
the
life.
move?
I think I honestly don't even know. My mom tells me it's educational opportunities, better schooling here. It was a lot more organized here, basically. Even though it seems pretty bad here, like education, you'd pay money to go to school in Nigeria, but it wasn't as organized as American school basically, but it wasn't bad until you got like till you got to like the higher levels like high school and all that in Nigeria. That's when you pay big money and then you get good education. But we just moved here because it was free basically. And on top of that, I think my dad had, I'm not sure, I think he had a promotion in ExxonMobil, the oil company, and then we all just moved here. That didn't really last that long though.
Nigeria is English like something that's taught from a very young age? Is that
Yeah,
like
that's the main language. We were taken over by Britain basically. So you have to learn English first. And then but there's like a bunch of different languages. I don't know a single one of them. That's like my fault right there. Yeah. But I can understand
like
my parents' language. I can understand my parents' language like Ibibio. They can talk to me, I understand it, but I can't speak it back, bro. That's my problem.
for a long time with Chinese. Like I could always understand Mandarin specifically. I could always understand like bits and pieces of what people were saying to me, but I could never really speak it. And that's, I took some time over the last few years to kind of like get into it more. So now I can speak fluently, but when people talk really fast, sometimes it's like
Whoa, just
it
slow
doesn't
down a
work
bit,
for
you know what I
me.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, like learning that is a lot harder, because you can't just go to Duolingo or Rosetta Stone and learn Ibibio, right? It's a cultural language. My parents have to teach me that, but they don't have the time for that now. They always regret not teaching me earlier, but I feel like I'm not fine, but I would enjoy learning that. Yeah.
piece piece of you. I wouldn't say there's a piece of you missing, but there's definitely like a piece that could have been added on that wasn't. But I mean, you're a guy who you know experienced like a world I almost cussed that a worldwide move from like you went from Nigeria to the U.S. You started a podcast, clothing brand on the way.
Hey,
Like
it's
you,
coming soon,
I
coming
mean, I
soon.
wouldn't say there's any pieces missing from you, man.
Yeah,
But
but it would have been a
yeah,
cool bragging right to say like, oh yeah, I speak two languages. One of them you don't understand. You can talk to my parents. No one to know exactly what I'm saying. It was what's it called? Secluded conversation. A and B, no C. You know what I mean? Yeah, that would been so
yeah.
cool.
Roast the friends with your mom and dad. They have
Yeah,
no idea what you're talking about.
I have no idea. Can't even search it up because they don't know what language that is. All right, so you said let's go back to the boarding school, right? So you
Yeah,
went to boarding school, right? So how do you and you also went to public school for most of your life, basically, right?
yeah, yeah.
But how would you compare both of them?
Um, I have to like I've had the experience. Like I went to high school public. Like I went to a public high school as well. I went to Elkins, right?
Hmm.
And so I. It's not like I went from just eighth grade public school to high school boarding. Like I feel like that would be very different because high school and middle school are very different places, right? So
Yeah,
I got the experience of being in a public high school and then being in a private high school. So I would say one main difference is like quality of teaching, honestly. And so the first thing is like I think teachers who are public school teachers, I wouldn't say they're bad teachers. I would say they're overworked, and it's very difficult for a teacher to build connections with students when she has 150 students
yeah, and
every
like
day,
in every
right?
class it's about 30 kids. That's a lot of names to remember. I
Yeah,
never really
exactly.
blame
And
teachers
and
for forgetting my name because of that. Because there's a lot of things you have to remember about like students in every class, bro.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult for them to create connections with students just because of the sheer volume of students.
Mm.
And I would say at my school with 250 kids, the teachers, we have the small classes. I feel like I was really able to connect with every single one of my teachers. Like I was able to go to them during office hours, and because we live on a campus, right? All of the teachers basically live on campus. I was able to go to them sometimes to their homes to ask them questions, right? Like if I
Yeah,
have a problem in math on my homework, I go over to her house and ask her for help. And that's something that you don't get at public school. Um, and and another big difference I would say is even though there's so many more people at public school, I feel like you have your small circle of public school, right? You only talk
yeah,
to
yeah.
this people and then like one or two kids in each class that are not like your friends, but they're your acquaintances, right? But at the small school, I felt like I had so many more people that I could go to. people that I could talk to like on a regular basis. And it's kind of strange because there's less kids, so you would think there would be less people to talk to, as opposed to more kids and more people to talk to. But I think it's actually the other way around. I think you talk to less people and you have a smaller circle at a big school than you would at a small school.
Yeah, I think that's
And so
like
that's
that's one of the main, for me at least, that's one of the main like pros of being in boarding school. You know, there's more connections between people because people not going everywhere at one time. Like you know, public school people go to one school, then they go to different neighborhoods and all that. But in private school, I mean, boarding school, right? It's all in one area, right? You have a friend who's like, oh yeah, you want to hang out after class today or after school? It's like, oh yeah, sure, just come to my dorm, you know, kind of things. But like for public school, it's school and then home are two completely different things, you know. Even with the teachers thing, when you said you have a question for teachers, you just go to the teacher's dorm room, right, or house. You just ask them a question, hey, could you help me out with this? But even in school right now, you have to do a lot of things before you can come into contact with the teacher to try to get answers for a question. Yeah.
I think going back to like um, just like the people, right? I feel like I was able to build. I feel like I'm a part of something at my new school. Like I
Hmm.
feel like I'm a part of a community. Everybody has each other's backs. Um, but at bigger public schools, I feel like you like I said before, you have that inner circle. Like you can only trust these people, and it seems it seems on the contrary because at a bigger school with more kids, you would think you could have more connections with more people. But in my experience, it's always been less connections at the bigger school,
Yeah,
and I don't know why that is.
it's more of a quality over quantity thing with boarding school, right? Boarding school friends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, one other thing I wanted to touch on about my school specifically is again the workload, right? So a public school, specifically Elkins, 7 classes a day, 7 homeworks from 7 different teachers from all 7 classes due the next day, right? And that's extremely overwhelming sometimes, and it can get in your head, and sometimes it can be a cause for failure.
Yeah.
At my school, we actually have a block schedule, so we go to 4 classes a day. We have 8 classes. We go to 4 classes a day. They're each class is like an hour and 15 minutes. So it's and then so we alternate, right? So we have A, B, C, D classes on Monday, and then or E, F, I'm forgetting the alphabet. The other four on the next day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So you have
yeah.
time to complete your homework and then turn it in, and I think that's also a big pro of my school.
Dude, that's kind of like how school was back in Nigeria. Like for me, we had four main classes, right? We had math, science, we had, what am I forgetting? We had English, and then we had like other languages. I did French, right? So every day we had, like the teachers would come to us. We sit in one class, do an hour of teaching from one teacher. Teachers come to us, then we do the work like that. We didn't have like the same classes every day for 7 hours a day. We had, if I remember right, it's like 4 hours a day. Not sure, but it was a really short time compared to here. Yeah.
7 classes a day, it's really hard to keep up with that. So I think that's a big cause for the stress that you see in high school students across America.
Yeah, it's a big cause of distress because I can't tell you how many days I've come back from school like, oh yeah, I'm finally done with this classwork, right? I've done 3 classes in a row. I'm like, oh, finally done. But then boom, I remember my fourth period class had an assignment. I also have to turn that in the next day, right? So it's always more work than we actually need to do, and it's really stressful for people just trying to get the work done. Yeah. All right, so let's move on.
Have to do that.
Let's move on to the podcast thing, right? I know we both have podcasts. You have the Burd File. I have the Calabar Club, right? I feel I said this in the live podcast episode too. The podcasts are showing up everywhere, like everywhere. Even Kid Cudi, right? Like the tweet you put up, the tweet that you posted that one time. You know, he's trying to steal our flow now, right? So I want to see like your thoughts on all this. Like, why you think everybody's trying to make a podcast now?
Podcasting is like it's getting a lot bigger. Do you know what Barstool is?
Barstool?
Barstool Sports.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah. They have
Yeah.
a
So
podcast.
Barstool, oh yeah, they're a big corporation, and they actually have they have multiple podcasts. So they have probably 20, probably actually more like 100 podcasts that
Wow.
all like are under them that they have signed, and they actually had the biggest podcast in the United States signed with them, um, and and
What is
they
that? What
do a lot of
podcast is
like
that?
distribution. Uh, it was called like let me look it up. Let me look it up.
Because I'm right now I'm thinking of
Uh,
the Joe Rogan Experience because he's pretty famous for podcasting.
yeah, Joe Rogan is also huge.
He's huge on podcasting, bro.
Okay, so it's called Call Her Daddy, and I know it seems strange, but
Yeah.
basically, it was like they would get millions of viewers every single or millions of listeners every single time, right? That they posted a podcast, and Call Her Daddy was basically these two girls who made a podcast every week or two, and they would talk about sexual stuff. They would get millions and millions and millions of listeners, and they were like the number one podcast, and Barstool signed them. And I think, more people are seeing podcasting as a potential to just kind of put themselves out there. Like, not everybody can be an Instagram model, not everybody can
Yeah.
be a YouTuber, but everybody can get on, a call or go to someone's house and just talk about stuff going on in their life. Anybody in the world can do that. And I think that's opening up. People are seeing that as a way for them to kind of get into the social media world, um, without a lot of the insecurities that other options
Yeah, like the whole
may provide.
putting so much money into something to just make something, you know what I mean? Like being a YouTuber, that takes a lot of being a decent YouTuber takes a lot of what's it called? I'm losing my words right now. Being a YouTuber takes a lot of like passion
And
basically. You have to put a lot of
passion,
effort
yeah.
into being a YouTuber. But doing a podcast is like the easiest, like chillest thing you could do. Just talk with your friends about something, you know what I mean? But I see
Yeah.
podcasts this year. I said this in the last podcast too. This year is a crazy year so far. Lots of things that happen. People want to talk about it, right? We're stuck at home too. We can't really go to our friend's house. We can't talk to anyone we want to talk to right now. You know what I mean? Over a call. So it's the best way to get your ideas out right now.
Also think that like people are beginning to realize like YouTube videos. Like me personally, all of my podcasts are posted on YouTube. I'm working on getting them onto Spotify, but I haven't completed that yet. And that's a problem really for me. Like you have your podcast, your pilot episode on Spotify. The thing is,
Yeah.
people don't have the time to sit there and watch a video anymore. Like you, Joe Smith doesn't have the time to watch a 45-minute YouTube video on his phone anymore. But you
Yeah.
know what they do have the time to do is turn on
Just
a podcast
listen
in
to
the
stuff.
car while they're driving from point A to point B, right? And people are recognizing that the Joes of the world don't want to watch videos anymore. They want to, or they don't have time. But they do have the time to listen. And so I think people are beginning to kind of go into that market of like just sound, and they're taking it by a storm. I mean, realistically, I think we're going to see many, 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 many more podcasts coming out, big celebrities coming out with podcasts, because I mean, they make money.
Whoa.
They're money makers, and that's just the fact of the matter.
Yeah, that's just a fact of the matter, bro. Getting a podcast out there is like just putting yourself out there in the easiest way you can. And if you're already a celebrity, that's even more exposure because people want to know more about you, you know? It's crazy.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. So we seen so I seen your podcast, you know. You have a bunch of people on there. How many episodes do you have so far?
I have 9 episodes, or 8 episodes, maybe.
Yeah, you have 8 episodes up. Like I seen you talked to a bunch of
Yeah.
seniors too. You talked to a bunch of people from your school. You talked to a bunch of people from Elkins. I just want to know how you come into contact with those people. How you get them to like how do you know about these people? Like how do you know their aspirations and all that?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a real small school that I go to, so pretty much everybody knows everybody. And the seniors from my school, we have a lot of you know people who have very ambitious people in my school. Like they
Mm.
know what they want and when they want it. And we also have people who don't know what they want. And I wanted to kind of get everybody on, to just find everybody. And the way I came into contact with these people is, I play on the hockey team and there's multiple seniors on the hockey team, and I was able to just kind of like integrate into, I guess, like the senior clique. So I got to know a lot of the seniors. And when I started the podcast, I was like, you know what would be interesting is just interviewing these seniors, because I mean, graduating from high school, that's like the next step in your life. Like now you're on, like, high school's over, secondary school's over, you're an adult now, you have to figure out what you want to do and how you're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it interesting to interview them and just see, like, the juxtaposition of people, just different seniors. And I interviewed Dominic Bartley from Elkins. I personally never talked to him before, but I have some friends who have. I mean, Rashab Shakti, they have, and so I was able to get into contact with him through them, and we had a conversation as well. But basically, a lot of the people who I've interviewed have just been either me reaching out or just mutual friends or close friends. I actually did a podcast that's unreleased where I talked to a hockey Instagram page with 15,000 followers, and I just DM'd him multiple times. Just tried to get his attention, commented on his posts, and he agreed to come on. So we have like an hour and a half long conversation there, but I haven't released it yet.
So I've also seen in your podcast with the seniors, right? You said this is probably the weirdest year for a senior, because they don't have anything to look forward to at the end. Like seniors over the past, like how many years they've been seniors in high school, they've looked forward to having no school, like having no work in school, like being able to just hang out in classrooms, like having their prom, having all that. Like I seen when you talk to them, they're like, oh yeah, it's a bummer, right? This is the new way they have to work through things, like their graduation. Like they don't usually walk through like a field, like being spaced out from every other person. This is the first time they've ever experienced that. Any seniors ever experienced that. So it's the times we live in right now are a reflection of reflecting on the seniors right now and how they're experiencing things. I feel like that's a really interesting thing to look into. And I like that about your podcast, that seeing the mindset of different seniors and how they're taking things and how their lives are still going on behind this whole coronavirus thing and how they're experiencing things. I think it's pretty sick. All right, so with your podcast, right, what are your plans with it? Because I don't know. I don't even know my plans with this podcast, I don't know if it's going to go on after high school, because I just see it as a place to talk to my friends about stuff, but we might lose connection. We might just go different ways. But what are your views on your podcast? And where do you think it's going to go?
Almost every single episode I've done so far has been an interview, right?
Well, you're kind of cutting out right now. Kind of cutting out.
Oh, every single podcast that I've done on my page has been an interview, and so like me and you right now, we're just kind of talking. I mean, we're homies talking, right?
Yeah.
But and it was the same with your pilot episode, but mine are more interview based, where I ask questions, they answer, I reciprocate, and then I ask another question. So I think I kind of want to get into more of what we're doing here, just talking with people. But I think for me, I haven't uploaded a podcast in over 2 weeks now, just because I haven't had a lot of time to edit. Or I mean, let's be real, I've had time to edit. There's just not a lot of motivation right now. But personally, I see me continuing to podcast for a while. I don't know how long into the future, but I enjoy it. Like I enjoy coming on here and talking to you. I enjoy coming on here and talking to other people, seeing their views, asking questions, just obtaining more knowledge from them, seeing different points of views. And that's something that I really love to do. Like I love to learn about people and their situations. And I could see myself, continuing to just do interviews and talk to people for a long time. Like I could even see myself, going back to boarding school this year and just talking with friends, like getting a couple microphones, setting up a camera like what you did, and just talking to friends at boarding school, editing the videos and putting them up. I mean, I think, I want to just continue doing this. And for me, it's never been about the views or the likes. It's just been about me learning about people, like obtaining those points of views. And if I get 200 views, if I get 10 views, fine. But at least I got something out of it.
So I take it that you don't see this as a main career head, you know what I mean? This isn't your plan A, right?
Yeah. For sure not. Maybe in the future. I mean, realistically, you look at all of these influencers, right? These social media influencers,
Hmm.
just celebrities in general. If you go on YouTube, right, and you're watching YouTube, who are you watching? You're not watching 16-year-olds. You're
Yeah,
watching, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds,
people who
25-year-olds
actually
who
have the
have the
lives ahead of
options to
them.
go out and do whatever the hell they want, right?
Yeah,
You're watching these people who have, they kind of have control over their own lives. They can do what they want. Like right now, I also had a YouTube channel, Mr. Hockey Magic. I mean, nobody wants to watch a 14, 13-year-old kid do stuff because he can't really do anything.
yeah.
He's
You're just
confined
held down
to
by
like
your parents, your the people around you. You know, you're supposed to be a little kid at that time, so that's what they're trying to like
exactly.
make you do.
You're confined. People don't want to watch stuff that they can do. They want to watch stuff they can't do. And so I don't think that me being 16 and not having a lot of options to go out and do crazy stuff, I don't think I'm going to blow up within the next 2, 3 years. Like, and that's not my intention. You're right. It's not the plan A. It's probably not even the plan B. It's just something I like to do for fun.
Yeah, so I know you also like to do hockey for fun. So is that something you would look into working as being your parent A, your main source of income, your livelihood?
I don't think so. I think, for me, I've played hockey my entire life, and it's always been something that has motivated me, pushed me. I'm really passionate about me. My life's pretty much revolved around hockey. I went to boarding school for hockey,
Yeah.
but I don't see myself going to play in the top league. And well, I know for a fact I'm not going to be playing in the top league in the world, not even the top 10. But one thing that I've looked into is potentially playing professional in like Europe somewhere in a gap year before I go to college. I don't think I'm at that point yet, but I still have a couple years to improve and get better. And I also, my ultimate goal is to play NCAA hockey, whether it be Division 1 or Division 3. But that's my ultimate goal, so that's what I'm pushing towards. But again, that's not something that I think that I'll ever be financially dependent on.
Okay, so you want to work up to being in NCAA, right?
Yeah,
So it all has to start from somewhere, you know. So what
yeah.
age did you start actually playing hockey? Like when did it become something you enjoyed? When did you become something you actually played?
Yeah, so my dad's from Canada, and he had been in, like
Canada.
just a hockey maniac his whole life. So I was basically a hockey fan out the womb. So it's just been hammered. Hockey is number one. So when I was 4 years old, I started skating on the ice, and when I was
Hmm.
5 years old, I started playing hockey. So it's been, I've been playing hockey for a decade, and I think most of the players who are really, really good have all started really young, because hockey is one of those sports where, there's sports like basketball, football, um, and soccer, which all are very high skilled sports. You have to be
Yeah.
very skilled. However, it's there's a lot less. There's a lot less that goes into it, right? So like hockey, you have to learn how to skate. It's also the most expensive sport to play. But hockey, you have to learn how to skate. You have to learn how to shoot. You have to learn how to pass. And I think skating is the most important one because hockey is basically two sports combined. I mean, you're holding a stick, doing all the stuff with the stick, but you also need to know how to skate. And so I think everybody who plays hockey professionally or even at a very high level starts very young, as did I. And so yeah, 5 years old is when I started, and I can imagine most exceptional players start at that age as well.
So that's pretty common, starting at a really young age, right? Pretty common.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so you've obviously played it for a long time, like you said a decade, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
16 now, so that's a decade. So I'm pretty sure you've seen some. I personally have seen some crazy things happen in hockey. Like that one dude who got his like throat slit by what's it called, an ice skate. That was
Yeah.
that was pretty crazy. So what's some of the craziest things you've seen like when you were playing hockey? Because I know some crazy things happen.
In youth hockey, you're not allowed to fight, but it still happens.
Yeah, fights are
So
really
there
common
have
in
been
like
some,
in what's it
yeah.
called,
In
the professional things.
in the professional leagues, you'll always see fights. You'll see a lot of fights, and that's what gets posted on YouTube. But personally, to me, the my definition of craziest things I've seen in hockey is going to be different than yours because I've been watching the game and I observed the game and I like there's things like a crazy thing to me in hockey is like the nastiest goal I've ever seen. Right?
Oh
But
wow.
to somebody who doesn't watch hockey as much and just watches YouTube compilations, it's going to be like an insane punch that knocked a guy out.
Yeah.
Like, for me, the craziest thing I've probably ever seen is one of my like former teammates went out to play for a much better team, and he single-handedly skated through the entire team, got tripped, and still scored a goal. Like, that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
I'd
But
imagine myself being
I've
there.
also
That'd be pretty sick too. Like if I saw that, I don't really understand the game, but seeing someone just go through the entire like other team just to trip and like actually make the score, that'd be sick. Yeah.
it was nuts. But for me, I also referee the game. I referee like kids hockey. And so one thing that I saw, this is probably one of the wildest things I've ever seen like throughout my hockey career, is I'm reffing a U12 game. These kids are 10, 11, 12 years old playing hockey, right? Nothing serious. It's in-house hockey, which is basically like you're not playing club team, you're not traveling around, you're just playing at the same rink against the same teams, right? And so there was these two sets of parents who started fighting. So all the kids are walking off the ice at the end of the game, and these two parents get into a brawl. Like one of the dads,
hockey game, bro. Oh my.
one of the dads puts the other dad in a chokehold, and then the moms are like slapping each other, and all these other parents are getting involved. And me and my referee partner, who's just another teenage guy, we're like, oh my god, what the hell do we do? Because the referees have the ability to kick anybody they want out of the rink.
Yeah,
but we're 16-year-olds.
Like big men, like big grown men and like a woman fighting, bro. That'd be crazy.
This was wild. There's like a bunch of people holding everyone back, and like we're 16-year-olds. These are grown ass people, right? How am I supposed to tell this 45-year-old man to leave the premises without getting smacked?
Yeah, getting
so
or something.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's like it's youth hockey. Your kids are not even they're 12, they're 10. What are you fighting about?
This is like something that's not even a big deal. They're just playing this for fun. The kids are playing this for fun, right? So why are you gonna put so much effort into fighting someone else for a kids hockey game? Come on now.
There's zero reason for it, but like that, there's like I have a video of it, and it was so like it was kind of like traumatizing at the time. But now it's one of the funniest things.
Like just gym basketball. It's the same thing. Just gym class sports, bro. People take it so seriously, bro. Like it's not the NBA. Come on now, chill out. When I play gym basketball, I'm not even trying, bro. I don't even hoop. I'm terrible at gym basketball, but like I've seen people who get into literal fights talking about like each other's trash. You can't shoot. Why are we even on the team? And then they go into the locker room, take the fight in there, and they actually throw hands over a gym basketball. Like, come on now. And they're going to go to the next period sweaty for no reason.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm one of those kids, bro. Like I'm so competitive. Like everything I do like 100%, especially when it comes to sports and basketball specifically. Like I'm not the best basketball player at all. I can't really shoot. I can't really do anything. I can't really dribble. But what I can do, I can run a little bit and I can jump a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes like I'll be running full speed with the ball, and one thing I do a lot is I run full speed, I go up for a layup and I miss, right? Mm-hmm. But like when guys get physical with me or they start calling fouls that shouldn't be fouls, I get so heated. Like I don't know why it's a problem that I have, but I'm one of those gym basketball guys.
I understand that fully. Like if you're being like treated badly, bro, but like if you're taking it so seriously to the point where it's like even after the game, like a pretty good game, you guys are playing well, you're playing like pretty good, putting up balls and all that, like getting threes and all that. But then you still take it into the locker room to get angry in there. Like, come on now. You're going to the next period tired for no reason, having a whole fight. Come on. Have some respect for yourself.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I'll get heated on the court sometimes. Like, even with some of my close friends, like Sammy, multiple people that I've played with, I've gotten really heated. Like, we've exchanged words on the courts, right? Ethan Wu, even, we've had some, like, disgusting stuff that we said to each other. But once the game's over, it's done, right?
That's
you leave it all on the court, and you're done. You go back to being homies, right? There's no friends on the court, but when you're done with the game, there's no need to be petty and keep that going, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean that's my mindset about it. Like I don't think I could ever imagine going into the locker room after the game is over and fighting somebody about it. But
never made sense to me. Like I'll just see it and be like, bro, you're going through all this trouble. You're gonna be in detention for a while, right? You're getting suspensions and all that for a gym basketball game. Jesus, bro, have some self-respect. But honestly, like what you've talked about hockey this whole time is honestly reminded me of like skateboarding. For me, I've been skateboarding for not that long, right? Since seventh grade, eighth grade, and I'm not that good, but it takes a while to get the skill down. But I've seen little kids, like you said, if you want to be good at hockey, you have to start at like a really really small age, like 5 years old. I've seen this kid at the skate park I go to every week. He's really good. Like he's a lot better than me, and he's 8 years old. So starting him young is a really good thing, you know. And it takes a lot of skill to like hold that. Like starting young is pretty crazy. Starting young, like really, it starts him as like, starting young is good. It's good, yeah. I don't even know I was going with that, but All right, so your future plans. You said you don't really see hockey as like the main thing, right? Like obviously you plan to do the whole try to get into the league D1 or something, and then that's it, right? So what else are your future plans like after high school?
So I think for me, I'm still kind of deciding on what I want to do, and it might be both. I've always been somebody who likes to build things and likes to put things together from a very young age. I've always, I think everyone's played with Legos, but I would like get a set of Legos and build something that wasn't meant to be built with them. Like I've always been building things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think engineering is a path that I'm pretty serious about, but also business. Also from a young age, like in sixth grade, I sold playing cards and I made over $1,000 in profit in sixth grade
Playing cards?
selling packs of cards. Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
crazy.
so like I've always been like a little mini businessman, but recently I've taken in stocks. Like I've started looking at stocks, investing some of my money, and I think business is also something that I would want to go into. So I think definitely for me, engineering business, it's either one or the other or both. Like I could see myself majoring in business, minoring in engineering, or vice versa. Taking one or the other. But I think that's definitely where I want to take my path.
All right, yeah, that's pretty good. I want to be like for my plans for the future. Basically, I see the engineering part is really clear because I like working with different machines. Like if I can put something together, just like you said, you like putting things together, right? I enjoy that too, but sometimes the learning curve is kind of steep. If you're learning something and then, like I said in my last podcast episode, the electrical engineering thing, right? It's so hard to keep up with trying to learn something in engineering, right? Especially right now, because I don't really know what I'm going to do after. Obviously, I'm going to be an engineer, but I also want to take like art classes, basically art design, fashion design, and all that, to build my basically my art muscle, basically, because I enjoy art. I would like to go into art when I get older, but it's not really something that's common. It's not really something that you see yourself making a whole living off of. So I don't want to be end up homeless or something. So have my plan A, plan B, all that. Like I don't understand. If I actually went through the art thing, obviously I'm going to still take engineering classes behind it, so I don't end up having to depend on someone else for my livelihood. Just like Bobby Hundreds. Have you heard of him? Sorry, you're cutting out. I can't
Never,
hear you.
no, never heard of Bobby Hunt.
We haven't seen the clothing brand with a bomb on it. Haven't heard of that?
Yeah,
The
I've seen
hundreds, yeah.
that stuff.
So a while ago, I watched a complex blueprint video, right? So he explained like from a young, like how he always enjoyed art. He wanted to do have his whole career in art basically, but his parents never saw it as a way for him to. His parents and he never saw it too. He never saw it as a way to make money, right? So he went into school. He went into law school and became a lawyer, and he worked behind someone for a long while. He used that to make money while he was still working on his art, trying to get his art together and make the clothing, do all the art stuff. So I see that as a real inspiration. Don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and then just lose all of them in one day. You know what I mean?
I think that's super important. Like, I mean, you see a lot of people, and this is kind of like a different thing that I'm talking about. You see a lot of people move to LA. They leave everything that they know behind to become an influencer,
Yeah.
right? They're putting all their eggs in one basket and doing one thing. I think, you seem semi-passionate about engineering, right? Go into it, become financially stable, right? And then use that to support your art passion as well. because it's never a good idea to go into something all in if you don't, you know. Oh well, that's not true. Some people go into stuff all in
Yeah, it
with,
works. It works
you know,
sometimes, but
it works
as a
sometimes.
whole,
Yeah,
like I know a bunch of people want to go into music, a bunch of people want to make clothes, a bunch of people want to do art, right? But that's a lot of
yeah,
people compared to just you. So
yeah.
if you put everything into one thing at once, like put everything about you into one thing, and then it just doesn't work out, what are you gonna do? So you better be careful than just go out crazy, guns blazing with your art career or music career and all that.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes those people will succeed, but more often than not, they fail.
Yeah,
And you don't have to be the guy that fails. You can be the guy who, you know, succeeds, but didn't give up everything to succeed,
yeah, yeah.
right? And I think that's
That's
that's so
something
something
everyone
that,
should
like,
live
I
by.
can see that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after college, right? I talked about me doing the podcast and all that. I might still work on the podcast. I don't know. Every summer, get with the boys. Like I'm doing right now. I'm planning on doing it every summer for this time. But after college, the podcast might still be a thing. I'm not really sure. But I know for a fact I still want to work on like Calabar as a clothing brand. Because lately I've been watching like fashion breakdowns, like designer breakdowns from this dude named Bliss Foster on YouTube. Amazing dude. He breaks down everything so well. Like his videos are mainly just taking apart runway shows like Margiela, like the OG Margiela, like from 1988, like taking down his whole idea on clothes, how clothes should be made, his vision on clothes, the art he's putting out with clothes, the message he's putting out with clothes, right? And it's really inspired me to be like, oh wow, there's a lot more I could do with my message because I society for me, I always think about the way things are right now. So if I can mix my voice with the clothes I put out, like my ideas, my thoughts, and all that with the clothes I put out, instead of just putting out, oh, that's a cool design, I could just draw that up, put that on a T-shirt, right? Actually, make sure clothes send out a message that everyone can hear, everyone can could relate to, everyone can understand. That'd be pretty sick. That'd be pretty sick for me. That's why I want to go into like I said earlier before the podcast started, I was interested in Parsons Design School and also FIT in New York, Fashion Institutes of Technology. That'll be a pretty sick school, so I can learn more about the process of fashion design, the process of making clothes and all that. Yeah.
FIT, the girl that Lucy, she actually applied there as well,
Hmm.
but she didn't get in there, but she did get into Parsons. So, if you ever down the line want to get some information about Parsons or what she did to get there, I can hook you up with that 100%. But
I appreciate it, dog.
like, I see what you're doing, like the message, right? Like I think that's important because a lot of times you'll see clothing that it's a cool design, but what does it mean, right?
Yeah.
But I've also seen clothing that is a really, really simple design, but it speaks a million words, right? And so that's like I can see what you're trying to do there, and I think that's it's really good. I mean, I would rather wear a simple shirt that sends a message
Than
than a
a whole
complex design
crazy
that
design
means
that just
nothing.
means nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. Honestly, that's basically it for my future, the way I see it. But if that doesn't work out, I could still be a chemical engineer, a petroleum engineer. That'd be sick. Because I know you make a lot of money off of that, but your whole life basically revolves around that at that point. So, not really sure about that. So, how about you? Like, after you do the whole hockey thing, after you tried that out, what you said you do engineering. That's like your main thing.
Engineering and business, yeah. I'm my brother recently just started his own business with his friends, and I definitely want to do that. I want to be able to go into management at some point, or get some experience in management because I think I would be capable of doing that. I also think that that's really good experience for potentially maybe starting my own business. I think entrepreneurship is also a valid option for me after school. Definitely not before, after school,
Yeah.
because I think I have a lot of good ideas that I can put into things or partnership with people and help them market. And marketing is something that I'm really interested in as well. So marketing, entrepreneurship, that's something that I'd be interested in doing after
Entrepreneurship is kind
college
of
as
risky
well.
though, you know. That's what I'm kind of afraid of, you know. It feels when you're going into like an established institution kind of thing, like you work in cubicles, you work under a boss and all that. It just seems pretty safe because as long as you don't do anything wrong to the person above you, you're pretty much good. But I seen a lot of people talk about working in that situation, working in that environment as it's false security, you know, because if that huge company goes down, you're going down with it. So it just seems like it seems like a good idea. It was like, oh yeah, like I'm under this person, I'm fine. I could just work with them for the rest of my life. I'm under this company. But entrepreneurship is it's do or die basically. You have to do it perfectly well the first time, make sure it's working good for you, and then that's it. It's pretty good. So, but it's a risky thing though.
The thing about entrepreneurship, right, is there's so many industries that you can go into, and there's also so many like just hounds in those industries. You want to go into the clothing company, you're going off against Nike, Adidas,
Exactly.
Puma, all of the big brands. You're going off against just everybody, right?
But
You want to
even
go
with
into the
that though, you
shoe
have to
brand.
find your niche, right? You have to find your audience because Nike's audience is athletic wear. You know, it's sports players and all that. If you're going into skate clothing, right? It's clothing that's more leaning into skate culture, bigger clothes, baggier clothes, and all that. Nice designs, nice graphics, and all that, right? But it's all about your niche. So that's what that's what I think about it. You know, the clothing thing.
Yeah. So when I think about entrepreneurship, when I say that, I want to create my own industry. Like I want to go into something that nobody is there. I want to create something that people need, but there's nobody else that can get it from.
That's kind
And
of
I
hard
have
though,
no
because
idea what it is.
at this
I have
point in
no idea
history,
what that is yet.
everything has basically been made, right? I've been thinking about that for a long time because it's kind of hard to invent something because we've been so far as humans, we've gone so far as humans that pretty much everything's been made right now. But hey, if you can do it, I'll be glad to support you, bro.
You know, when I say that, I mean like accessories, anything, man. Like something that can help people that nobody else is making, right? Or even just like accessories, like I said, like let's say there's a drone, right?
Yeah,
You have a drone and it flies into a tree and it breaks or something like that. Maybe create something that prevents them from breaking, something that nobody else has made. I don't know. I just see myself creating something, hopefully, in the future that creating my own industry because I think that's something that's important to do. Well, it's not important to do, but that's something if you want to at least have some success, you need to kind of have your own market.
yeah, because even like now that I'm thinking about it, like even if things are keep getting made, with new things comes new problems, right? Because even with the Apple thing, right? The whole not making phone chargers, not putting phone chargers in the boxes for the next new iPhones, right? They're making a problem just so they can make money off the solution. You know what I mean? So so every new thing, right, comes with a problem. With I'm trying to think of something. Like if you get a gaming console, right? They could if a gaming console comes with a controller, right? But the controller isn't that good. Boom, you can just make a better controller, right? For the gaming console, basically. So with new things come new problems. With new problems come new solutions, and that's a new way to make money. So you can actually now that I think about it, yeah, entrepreneurship is a really good thing.
Yeah. I mean, creating solutions to problems is the best way to make money. 100%.
So I guess that's it, huh? That's our whole lives planned ahead of us, you know. We really don't know much about it right now,
Yeah.
honestly, because we're only like we're both 16 right now. That's a good less than a quarter of our entire lifespan. We can work up to that. We can work up to everything we want to, right? And the one thing I can say right now is, even though things might seem, for me at least, things might seem a little hard to reach, you know, after going into still being in high school right now, still having everything ahead of me, still trying to work on something that I see is as something that I want to work on, but seems a little out of reach right now. So I feel like if we keep working on that, we still have so much ahead of us. We can just get to anything we want to, you know. That's the same thing with this podcast. I want people to know about problems teens have right now, things teens think about right now. You know what I mean? So I think right now we have so much ahead of us. We're 16. whole life ahead of us, basically. Yeah.
Who knows if our ambitions stay the same? Like maybe 3 years down the line, I want to be an English teacher. Like I have no
Oh,
idea,
exactly. I
right?
can't tell
I
you
just
how
know what I
many
want to do
times.
right now.
I can't tell you how many times I wanted to. I've changed everything I wanted to be. Like, I used to want to be a cook when I was younger. I wanted to be a robotics dude or something. Do something in chemistry. I wanted to be I wanted to be like a bunch of things. I used to want to be like a professional skateboarder. Then I realized I don't have the skill for that, right? And I was just like, I just let that go. Be a normal person for now. Then I wanted to be a teacher for a bit. I thought that was sick. And now I want to do clothes. So things could change from now. So we just have to keep our heads up.
Things change in this, and we have so much more time ahead of us. Like
You're
realistically,
cutting out. You're
we
cutting out.
have our we have our our goals now, but even 6 months from now, they could be completely different. So, it take everything with a grain of salt for sure. So, but because we have so much more time to make decisions.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. The end of the second episode with my boy Mason Burdett. So this is gonna go on YouTube, right? The whole recording we're having right now, and it's also gonna be on Spotify at the Calabar Club. And I know I'm gonna shout you out right now. The Burd Files podcast is on YouTube too, and it's doing pretty good. I've seen you have about 200 views per video. That's pretty crazy for me at least. I've gotten like 30 so far, but you're doing pretty well. So shout you out, Mason Burdett. What's your Instagram again? The Burd Files Instagram.
The Burd Files, TheBurdFiles.
You heard the man at the Burd Files, going to be in the description of the YouTube video. Check us out on Spotify, like I said before, the Calabar Club on Spotify, and on YouTube, the YouTube channel, the Calabar Club. And that's it. Signing off. Oh, you want to say something?
Yeah, I promise you guys, if you stay tuned to the end of this video or the end of this podcast, I promise you had a good time, and you're gonna have a lot more good times coming back and listening to more of the Calabar Club podcast. So just
It's going to get a
keep
lot better from
supporting,
here.
keep being loyal. Yeah, and everything goes up. So Calabar Club's going up from here.
Yes, sir. And the Burd Files, too. Make sure to check them out. And that's it. Calabar Club signing off.